Welcome to the Geek Homeworld. I am your host, Ed, aka SavageTechman. We talk sci-fi, TV, movies, superheroes, and all from a geek perspective. You can find us on Blogger, Google+, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We're everywhere. Join the Geek Homeworld. Hello, everyone. SavageTechman, aka Ed, here, along with Scott Schreiber. Welcome.
Hey, thank you.
This is our Oscar recovery, I guess.
Yeah, not a bad word for it. Kind of a snoozer of a night, just as far as excitement goes.
Yeah, I hate to start off on a not so great, exciting way to say this, but it was boring.
It was a boring night, honestly, and it ran like 45 minutes long, which just kind of,
They even had the contest with the jet ski and the trip to somewhere, the little Price is Right thing going on
which
there.
would have been good if, or would have worked possibly if the orchestra was playing people off. I don't think I heard one person.
I think one.
Maybe.
There might have been one.
I mean, so,
yeah.
And maybe that's just because in this political climate, maybe they wanted everybody to say what they wanted to say, but a lot of people weren't even getting political. Some were, obviously, but a lot of people were just thanking who they,
Which is kind of how it ought to be.
It should be. And I agree. Like,
it should be about the movies, the work.
We want to celebrate the films of that year, not this, what's going on in the headlines, in the news.
And also something we were talking about before recording is the montage of all the films that came out just seemed a little bit too much.
Well, it was really long. Like, I don't know how many montages there were.
There were several.
There were several, and one of them was just movie. Like, in general, these are movies. It's like, okay, I get it when you got themes. Right. There was like an Armed Forces one, but
that works, when they're themed.
Yeah, but then there's that very long one where it was like, I get it, it's the 90th anniversary, but it's not like the 75th or the 100th, this nice round number. It's the 90th. So why are we going all out with these montages when we're running 45 minutes long?
Exactly.
You have a run through. They have a run through of this program.
Exactly.
So they knew they were going to run long.
That's why they did the jet ski thing. I think that was really to tell people, hey, keep it close. And early on they kind of did. But when you get the best actor, you get the best picture, I think you kind of give them a little bit of a leeway because that's really what everybody's there for. They're for the big awards. I mean, they're there for everything else too. But
just running so long over time, they really could have cut down on some things. Yeah. The trip to
you're saying it should have been edited. We should have had.
There should have been Lee Smith, the editor of Dunkirk, that won. He should have taken care of this.
Well, and the jokes there for Kimmel, I thought he was playing it safe.
He was. There was no bite.
There was no bite. There was one thing he said to a little kid, a little 8-year-old kid. It was supposed to be him.
Himself, yeah.
Yeah, and there was a word he said in there I didn't particularly care for. I didn't think that was appropriate. But, it's neither here nor there. But generally, it was a boring night. I mean, I watched it all the way through, and I was like, it just felt like there was more energy last year. I don't know if it's the nominees because I think that there were a lot of great films, especially in Best Picture, which we'll talk about later, category. And
I don't know if it was just maybe the feel of the room it didn't
feel celebratory.
It didn't. And
it almost felt a little vengeful.
Yeah, vengeful, somber.
I don't know. It was just a strange Oscars, the 90th. But there were some highlights that we'll talk about as we go through the different categories and some things that we liked and speeches and different things. And we're just going to kind of kick off and go through the categories just like we did with the blogs, which you can find at geekhomeworld.blogspot.com, still there. There on Blogger, there's a lot of those 5. Well done by you, Scott.
Thank you.
That you put together there. I thought they were very comprehensive and they're really good reads, so you should check them out. Plus, the podcast is also on there. The 5 episodes we did for each of the corresponding
themes.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So we're going to just go through the list like we did from episode Well, the first one through the fifth one.
From part one, where we did the short films, we'll start there and kind of
design, features, and shorts.
You know how we did predicting wise. I don't know if you kept a tally.
I didn't really keep a tally, but I did pretty bad.
Yeah.
Sound is what I'm really good at, and I didn't really do well in sound. I did great in visuals. I think I aced that, but that was kind of a easy one. That's some Blade Runner stuff in there that we were going to be upset if they hadn't won.
Yeah, overall, I didn't do too bad. If you were following me, if you were following my lead to do your Oscar pool, you probably did okay. Yeah. But there were a few that I took some risks on and didn't quite pan out. But we'll get to those when we get there.
So we're going to start with Best Animated Short Film. The winner was Deer Basketball, Glenn Keane, and Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, the Kobe Bryant. I knew that was one that I had picked and said for y'all to pick out there. I just thought L.A. would give Kobe an Oscar. Why not?
Yeah, and it's probably well deserved. Next one was Best Live Action Short Film.
Yeah, and this was just a coin, like a shot in the dark, really.
It really was. The Silent Child with Chris Overton and Rachel Shenton was the winner.
Yep.
Not who I picked, but, I picked basketball.
No, those are hard.
Excuse me, I picked DeKalb Elementary, but
same here, yeah. But those are really hard to get. So.
Yeah, best documentary short subject. The winner was Heaven is a Traffic Jam on the 405, and that was the winner. And did you call that one?
Yeah, that was one that I called. Luckily, I think that was kind of more of a stab in the dark too, but
my stab was Traffic Stop, and I got stopped on that one. Ha ha ha! But so that's the. Let's see. Continue
not much to say about those. Unfortunately,
really
no offense to those filmmakers, but it's like not a lot of. Don't have a lot of background on those, so
right. Best foreign language film of the year: A Fantastic Woman, or I'll let you say it.
Una mujer fantástica.
Thank you. My Espanol, not so good.
That was the film about the transgender woman that whose lovers dies, and the family kind of disowns her.
Yeah, I remember you talking about.
So that. And it was very timely. The actress was there and presented I believe introduced a song later on, which cool moment. So yeah. But that was another one that, if you listened to me, you got right.
And the last one under Design, Features, and Shorts was Best Documentary Feature. The winner, and I actually picked this, and it was more of a coin toss, but Icarus with Brian Fogel and Dan Kogan.
Yeah, it's about the Russian doping, which was definitely...
very timely.
Yeah, it makes sense why that won. Even though I had seen that Faces Places was getting a lot better reviews, but, it makes sense, the whole Russian thing and the telling the truth. And so, it makes sense. So congrats for you on getting that one.
I actually got another one, Best Achievement in Makeup and Hairstyling, Darkest Hour. I'm not going to say the names there.
Kazuhira's maybe I shouldn't either. Tsuji. Yeah, I mentioned that he had gone on a long hiatus and came back for this. He had been nominated twice before, and I thought that they were going to win for this. I thought it was kind of a no-brainer. And
I take that back. I picked Wonder.
Oh, okay.
I picked Wonder, and I was wrong. So Darkest Hour did win that.
Yeah, it did.
For Best Achievement in Makeup and Hairstyling. Shows what I know. Best Achievement in Costume Design, I was wrong again. I said Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, and I went with Phantom Thread, which did win.
Ding, ding, you got another one.
It was Mark Bridges, who actually he won the jet ski.
Was he the one that got the jet ski?
Won the jet ski. Yeah, I just felt like, when wardrobe, when clothing is so central to the plot, I just feel like it's kind of a no-brainer.
I love the clip that they showed with the lady at the table there speaking with them. And,
Leslie Manville. Oh gosh. She's so good in it.
I was like, that was just like spot on. She's like, I'm going to kick you. I'm basically going to mess you up.
Don't pick a fight with me because I will run right through you. Yeah, I love it.
Let's see. Best Achievement in Production Design. I went with Blade Runner 2049, and I believe that's who. Is that who?
No, Shape of Water won.
Shape of Water won.
Yeah, that was another one that I wanted to pick Blade Runner. I think anything Blade Runner's nominated, it should win.
Exactly.
But,
and it should have been in there for Best Picture. Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
It should have been.
But yeah, Shape of Water took this. And yeah, I mean, I think it deserved it. All first-time nominees there, so they got their first Oscar. Blade Runner, I think Gassner, he had already won one. Maybe that factored in. I don't know. But, Shape of Water is Best Picture of the Year. So,
can't say anything wrong. Yeah, spoiler alert if you hadn't seen it. Or if you didn't watch the thing. All right, we're moving right along to the next one, which this is, if you're going along with us on our second blog, or part 2, this is sound, my favorite category.
Yeah, music and sound. So we started off with Best Score, which went to Shape of Water.
Yes, it did. I picked Dunkirk. I thought it was going to be Dunkirk for some reason, and
I mean, Hans Zimmer. How can you go wrong there?
Well, for me, it was Hans Zimmer versus The Last Jedi, John Williams.
Right?
And not that I ever want to bet against John Williams, but I just felt like it was Hans Zimmer's night, but it wasn't. Shape of Water got that. Best achievement in music written for a motion picture or original song. The winner was Coco. I think I got that right.
Yeah, that's for Remember Me, yes.
Yeah. And I believe that they had also Kristen Anderson Lopez and Robert Lopez,
right? They
wrote Let It Go.
Yeah.
So
so it's their second Oscar.
Right.
And this category
for me was as a hard category.
Yeah, I mean, there's these,
so
especially after seeing the performances last night. Mm-hmm. I felt like maybe Mystery of Love fell a little flat. It was really short, but I like that
song. I thought it was just the way that gentleman sings it, and it's just a beautiful song. It's beautifully written. It's a very not delicate, but it's just a beautiful song. I don't know how to say that.
Right. I mean, and I think we both agreed, if I remember correctly, that we both wanted This Is Me, Greatest Showman, to win. But I know I did. I thought Coco, it deserves it, but I just don't think there was a better song here than This Is Me. I think you may have been talking about.
Well, there was something like Mighty
Marshall,
River.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, from Mudbound.
Mm-hmm.
That was good. Stand Up for Something was good.
And that was
Common doing the rap. He came
yeah,
out and did a little
I think other than This Is Me, for me, out of the 5 best song performances last night, This Is Me was the best one, I thought, overall. But then Stand Up for Something was a close second. I love Andrew Day.
Yeah.
And with the Common rap up top. And
written by Diane Warren. I mean, you had some powerhouse people in there.
And then the Mary J. Blige performance was great.
So powerful.
So those were great. Overall, the Remember Me number from Coco,
right?
It did not start well, and Gael Garcia Bernal, God love him, he's one of the actors in it, and it probably sounded great in the studio, but he kind of started off a little flat and didn't do that great of a job, but then Miguel and I can't remember the lady's name, but came out and kind of saved it. But for me, I thought This Is Me, Mighty River, Stand Up for Something. Those were the better performances of the night. Yeah. And then, of course, let's go ahead and talk about Eddie Vedder here. Might as well while we're talking about song performances.
Was it Room at the Top? Was the song?
Yes, Room at the Top. Tom
Petty. So very timely, and that's a beautiful kind of song anyway. And that was one of the highlights of the night in memoriam. It usually is.
I mean,
a sad moment.
Even though they didn't get to it until like 10 after 11.
Yeah.
And there were 6 more awards to go.
Because I was like, wait a minute, we're missing something.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a jet ski.
But that was a great moment.
That was for me too.
Especially, we were going to age ourselves here, but Pearl Jam, was our,
I just wanted to go even flow.
So, a deep respect for Vedder.
Oh yeah, Vedder.
What a
Vedder's
great performance
awesome,
that was. One of the best. That was definitely a highlight for me.
Yeah.
Was
Too.
Vedder.
And let's see. In sound, we have a best achievement in sound mixing, and I was wrong again. I thought Baby Driver And
I mean, I picked Dunkirk for both of these. We might as well lump these in together again.
Yes.
They had the same 5 nominees in each category, sound mixing and sound editing. So, and I picked Dunkirk in both of these, and Dunkirk did win in both of these. But again, I was with you. I wanted Baby Driver to
For
win
both of
at
them.
least one of them. At least one of them.
maybe. I mean, I love the soundtrack of that movie, and so that's that. Now the next one. If you're keeping track of keeping up with us here, we're going into part 3, which is visuals, and this is the one where I aced it. Of course,
Got all 4?
There weren't. Yes.
And you beat me on this one because I missed visual effects, and I wish I had changed my mind on War for the Planet of the Apes instead. But hey.
But yeah, best animated feature film, Coco. I just knew Coco would win.
Yeah, that was kind of one of the no-brainers of the night.
I don't understand why Ferdinand was in there, or even Boss Baby, especially.
I know. I think it was a really weak year for animated films, especially coming off of last year. Last year was so strong.
And Coco, I just knew had dominated so much in it, and it crossed, that bilingual barrier. And so it's just been a universal smash.
Well, and and I think I might have said it in the blog prior to the show, but this award and Best Song as well was a chance, and heck, even Del Toro was a chance for the Academy to recognize Mexican Americans, and in this Trump America,
even our best director too.
That's what I'm saying, Del Toro. And so you had that opportunity with Shape of Water, Coco to recognize that, and I they didn't hesitate, and it deserved it. I'm not saying that it's political.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, not to take anything away from any of those, but yeah, they definitely deserved it. So Coco for me was just a no-brainer there. Best achievement in visual effects. This was one of the 2 categories in visuals that if they didn't win, you and I were going to riot. So
I mean, I had picked War for the Planet of the Apes. I thought that's what was going to win.
Yes, you did.
So I wanted Blade Runner
2049. Which one?
But yeah, I just felt like that trilogy, since it hadn't been rewarded before, that it was fine, that it was going to get it, and I was wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong because, I mean, Blade Runner is my top film of the year, so. Anything that it wins, I'm not going to be upset about.
Right. Well, maybe I overstated that because where is it? Oh, it's not this one, but we'll just skip ahead to that. Best achievement in cinematography was the other Blade Runner win.
Yes, and that
was the one we were going to totally go after the Academy. No.
Well, yeah,
if it didn't win, because no movie deserved it more than that visual masterpiece that's Blade Runner 2049.
Right, and that was my favorite. That was my favorite part of the night. That was my favorite moment when Roger Deakins finally won his Oscar, 14 nominations, a hero of mine, and I just. And the room stood up. Everybody.
That's awesome.
It was the best moment of the night. I think there were 2 moments, and we'll get to the other one, where the room stood up and there was actually some energy in the room. This was one of them, where the whole room got up. They were so pleased that this man, who's a legend in his field, that he finally got one.
And I don't feel like it was handed to him. This was well deserved.
Oh yeah, it is. It's not one of those like, oh, let's give it to him. He's old. No, this is the best cinematography.
I don't understand anyone hating on Blade Runner 2049, and so Roger Deakins, well deserved for cinematography. Now, best achievement in film editing, that's the one we skipped right there. I got that right. I said Dunkirk. We had Baby Driver in that.
I mean, again, we would have been happy to see Baby Driver. I would have been even okay with Shape of Water. But
I get it with Dunkirk. You've got 3 separate timelines, right? Going at the same time, or 3 different, you basically had 3 different movies going at the same time. So.
Yeah, and for that to be pulled together so perfectly, and that,
even though it did give me, I was one of those people that had a little bit of problems with it in the theater, but when I first saw Dunkirk, but in hindsight, it played out very well. So
and it makes sense that Dunkirk won the 3 awards that it really should have.
Right,
the editing and the sound was really what propelled that film.
Right.
Even though it happened to take awards away from Baby Driver or Blade Runner, but it's still,
I know it sucks not to win, but we said this before. For Edgar Wright to get nominations for that, all those nominations, that's pretty good. I mean,
absolutely.
Of course, everybody wants to win, but a nomination still isn't bad.
Yep. Absolutely.
You're still the top of your field. You may not be number one, but so we're going on to part 4 now, which is acting. And if you're following along, best performance by an actor in a supporting role. I said Christopher Plummer. I felt like the way he came in, all the money in the world, and how he took over. We talked about that. I thought he was going to get in. I thought it would have been like a lifetime kind of achievement, thing. Maybe he kind of mixed in.
Yeah, but he kind of already got that like 5 years ago for beginners, and like when he became the oldest man to ever win. And then last night, he was the oldest man to ever be nominated. And, of course, Kimmel, those were
he jumped on
a couple of jokes from Kimmel. There's easy fodder there.
Right.
But your winner was Sam Rockwell. I think, and I touched on this again before in our previews, that for me, these acting categories, they were locked. And I ended up being right on that. It was just like when you look at all the precursors, all the other award ceremonies that came before it just seemed pretty clear that Rockwell was going to win, that Allison Janney was going to win for supporting actress, and so forth.
Well, I picked Laurie Metcalf. I just really wanted her to win for Lady Bird. I thought that would have been great, but I could see Allison Janney winning, and it was really nice when she did win.
Well, and to go back to supporting actor for just a second. I'm sorry.
Sure. You're
but
fine.
Rockwell's speech, even though there were some lackluster speeches last night, his was one of the better ones. He had a lot of energy. He seemed truly just like honored and just excited. And when people act genuine up there, it's pretty fun.
Right.
So, but I liked his speech. Janney was great. I don't know. It was kind of just yawn for me with the acting categories because it was like there were no surprises.
There were no surprises. And speaking of one of the big ones, Best Actor, and obviously I got this one. Well, not obviously that I got it right, but obviously this was a no-brainer for me. Gary Oldman, Darkest Hour. The true brilliance of an actor is when that actor disappears into, like when you're doing a historical figure and they become that historical figure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he totally, I know there was a lot of people helping him do it, but his performance, he totally just melted into that character. He was Winston Churchill. And, I can't say enough about him. If I can real quick, well, I don't want to cut you off here.
No, go for it. I know that this was one of your favorite moments of the night.
It really was. His speech is 90-plus year mother.
Yeah, I think he said she was either 90 or 99 or definitely
something like
90s.
that. And he said she's in home, mom's at home on her sofa, and she's got the tea ready or get her tea out
Put the kettle on.
Put the kettle on. He's like, put the kettle on, Mom. I'm bringing Oscar home. I'm like, oh my gosh, and he almost choked up. That's where I felt some emotion in the night,
Yeah.
And Gary Oldman is just overdue for him. I mean. Yeah. I know him as Commissioner Gordon and many other things they showed from his early career. Like, he's played a myriad of roles. And
he does, like you said, have this. I truly think while I think Day-Lewis is like the greatest actor living, versatility-wise, I don't know if you can beat Oldman. Because he can just transform into anything. Right. I'm not sure if you've seen True Romance. He basically plays. He's like he basically plays a white guy that thinks he's black, and he's a drug dealer, and like.
You mean The Jerk with Steve Martin?
No. But he has this ability to transform,
right.
Or in Hannibal, like you would.
Oh yeah.
Like people don't even realize he's in that movie, but he's the guy laid up in the bed or in the wheelchair.
Ironically,
you just don't notice that
in a Christopher Nolan movie, The Dark Knight, one of my all-time favorites, if not favorite, definitely superhero movies, but him playing Commissioner Gordon, I always talk about, and everybody talks about Heath Ledger's transformative performance, how he he owned that Joker role and probably the greatest incarnation on screen of that. But we forget how strong the performance by Gary Oldman was in that. And so, he's able to do what Heath Ledger could do. And he's done it longer. And, obviously Heath Ledger's not with us any longer. But I don't know. It's just very, very, very transformative role, I think, in Darkest Hour for Gary Oldman. Well-deserved for the Oscar. I thought Daniel Day-Lewis might get it as, this is his last big movie or last movie. He's retiring, quote unquote.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how many people buy into that.
I
mean, because he takes these long breaks anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like in 7 years, he may feel like making another movie.
It's like a rock band or something that we never broke up. We just took a 14-year hiatus, the Eagles, That's a funny way of looking at it. Okay, moving on. Best performance by an actress. Well, here we go. Frances McDormand. I mean, I picked, help me out with the name. Lady Bird.
Saoirse Ronan.
I thought she was going to win. I just felt like she was going to win because I felt Lady Bird was a stronger movie initially, and I feel like Three Billboards, I said this before, kind of came along and stole some of its thunder. But still, Frances McDormand, she is just a force of nature.
She is, and
I'm so happy for her.
As I say this, don't get me wrong. I do believe she deserves this award. She is, one of the top actresses of the year by far. But I do think part of why she ended up getting all the votes is because the community knew she'd be a good spokesperson.
Oh, yes. And she had a good speech.
Absolutely. She had a great speech. And then she ended it with saying 2 words, inclusion writer, which most people don't even know, which was smart for her to say, hey, look this up. So, I mean, it's basically
she put the Oscar down and she asked all the ladies to stand up. Yeah. And what disturbed me a little bit or made it visual, because I'm a visual person too, is the fact that there weren't that many ladies that were in positions that stood up.
I get, go ahead.
And I guess that shows that's a visual representation for the viewing audience that, look, it's what percentage men, what percentage women. I think, as we were kind of saying earlier, we need to get past that. Yes, we're all for empowerment of women. My gosh, I want to see more diversity in Hollywood, and I want to see more females in power positions. I want to see more people of color and ethnicity, definitely. But we need to get to a point where none of that matters, where we want everybody should be at a level playing field, and I think she was really a voice for that. She was kind of driving some of that home, and she's just kind of quirky. She just kind of speaks her mind. And I think beyond the political part of it, I think she brought that to Three Billboards, and well-deserved, I think, for Best Actress, I
absolutely. She deserves her second award.
And another thing is, I had a weird feeling with the Post being nominated for Best Picture and Meryl Streep being on there. I felt like, it was going to be Meryl Streep, possibly. I didn't pick her, but I didn't think she would win it this year, but I felt if she did, it would be a real political statement and such and such. But I'm so happy that Frances got it. So enough about that.
We got a few more awards here, not too many, but... the screenplays were next, moving on to what was part 5 of our blog and
part
podcast.
Part 5, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So adapted screenplay, as much as we wanted to see Logan, of course, win here, it was what I thought would win. It was Call Me By Your Name, James Ivory.
And I actually picked that too, so we actually agreed on that, And
he gave a great speech because he is a legend in the industry. People familiar with Merchant Ivory Productions. He made a lot of amazing period pieces in the 80s and 90s, and never won as a director, but now he finally has one as a writer. But hey, Oscar's an Oscar, right?
Right.
So, and he gave a nice speech and about inclusion, of course, because of what the film is about.
Right.
But then the original screenplay kind of shocked me a little bit. Some people weren't.
Me too.
But, in my blog, I said this was a pentagonal coin flip because I had no clue who was going to win this. You have 4 great contenders here, but I really did not see Jordan Peele winning this for Get Out.
I did not. I did not see it either. I mean, I think it's a great everything that he did win. I know the cultural significance of that. I understand that and everything. But I just don't think, yes, it was an original screenplay, but I don't think it was as good as my pick, which was The Shape of Water. I think that was more original. I really do. And, you know, it was a tough category. I loved all these movies, but I didn't think Jordan Peele's Get Out deserved it.
This was one of
I really don't, you know, and I may take some flack for that, but that's how I feel. I felt The Shape of Water was highly imaginative.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, I think I ended up with 19 out of 24. I missed 5, and this was one of them. And I'm not upset that I did. Again, I think I said that earlier. I'm not upset about missing it because the ones that won were landmark. I mean, I really dig it that Jordan Peele. The more and more I thought about it, it's like it's not one of my top films of the year, but I can appreciate what he did with the genre.
Definitely.
And
I see a lot of that coming in.
It's just so weird. I don't know if weird's the right word, but it's just kind of strange to see this guy from Key and Peele, this great comedy sketch show. And now all of a sudden he is this Oscar winner, like for, it really is a groundbreaking film. We'll see what happens down the line in the future now, but it could change, what kind of movies are made. So
I just, and Lady Bird was a strong contender too. I mean, there was so many good ones.
I think that's who I would have picked or who I would have wanted to win this.
And 3 Billboards.
But, I mean, I thought it was the one chance for Lady Bird to walk away a winner, but it did not. It got shut out. There were no wins for Lady Bird last night.
And that's a little disturbing.
Yeah, it's sad. It was
a good movie.
But really anyway, it is what it is. People are, movies are going to get shut out, and that's just the way it is. And unfortunately, Greta Gerwig and Lady Bird got shut out in the 2 categories we got left here too. Director, let's do that one next.
I picked Christopher Nolan for Dunkirk, and I was wrong. Guillermo del Toro for The Shape of Water was the winner.
Yeah, I just kind of saw that coming because he won the Directors Guild Award and a few other awards leading up to it. So it just kind of made sense that it would continue. And he gave a great speech. Maybe Nolan. I don't know. Maybe Nolan will win one day.
But,
we'll see.
He's got a great body of work that he's done, and he's got nothing to be ashamed of. Yes, it would be nice for a little bit more recognition on the Oscar level for Nolan, and who knows? I think he's still got his best days ahead of him. He's gonna blow us away with something, I'm sure. And Jordan Peele, I would have been upset if he got Best Director because I didn't think that. Like I said, I don't think Get Out was as good as some of these other films, and I could have seen Greta Gerwig getting it for Lady Bird, but I didn't feel like I just didn't feel it, and for me, it just felt like Nolan because he's basically directing 3 pictures if you think about it. So it almost seemed like he should have gotten it.
Yeah, again, he was who I would want to win, who I would vote for. As I said in the blog, but. You can't fight Del Toro. I mean, I like Pan's Labyrinth. I probably have said this 100 times when we talk about Del Toro, but Pan's Labyrinth is one of my favorite films of all time. He's got that style and a lot of. I mean, that's
very unique.
You're watching a Guillermo del Toro film, and that's what you call an auteur. It's like when you're watching Woody Allen, when you're watching Tarantino.
That's why original screenplay. It should have been Shape of Water.
All right.
It really should have. That's why I think, because it's so unique. I mean, something we hadn't seen, Okay, the big one.
Yeah, the big one, Best Picture. Now, I predicted 3 Billboards because I thought they would stay political, and I'm so glad I was wrong.
And I picked Dunkirk. I picked Darkest Hour. Hour. I just felt like with Oldman, I just felt like it was going to be a sweep of those 2 categories. And I think... Thinking about it a little bit now, just like you, I don't have a problem with Shape of Water winning. Yeah. My second would have been, I don't know, maybe Dunkirk. It's a very difficult category.
Let me tell I didn't realize the popularity of Darkest Hour, until this weekend, like Sunday. I knew that it was out on DVD or Blu-ray or whatever your format is these days.
Digital.
Digital. So, and I like to still buy Best Picture. I like to collect Best Picture nominees. And I went to the store to, at first I went to Target to get Darkest Hour, and it was sold out. There's not one copy. I go to Best Buy, and it's sold out. So it was just amazing to me that this many people are buying Darkest Hour. But I mean, I think that's fantastic.
Those two retailers not sponsoring this podcast.
Oh, whoops. I wasn't thinking about that.
That's fine. Well,
I went to 2 box stores.
Oh, don't call them box stores. But Darkest, excuse me, where was I? Darkest Hour. Yeah, I felt that should have gotten it, but I'm not upset by it. I could have seen for the subject matter, Call Me By Your Name. I mean, there's reasons for every single film on here, Get Out to even win. I mean, Lady Bird, Phantom Thread, The Post was probably my least favorite on the entire group.
Yeah.
I watched it and it was kind of a yawn. I mean, I get it. And it was during the Watergate time, blah, blah, blah. I kind of felt it would be, with everything going on in politics now. I thought it was the only reason it got nominated. I felt like, and it was a great stellar cast, don't get me wrong, but I kind of felt like if they were going to make a political statement, this was the way they would do it.
Yeah, but it turns out...
And I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah, it turns out they did their political statement with Icarus instead,
yes.
And maybe a couple of others too, but yeah, I think Shape of Water here deserves it. A beautiful film, and in Del Toro's speech, he said exactly why. I mean, it was just this story of loving someone, that's different from you, and
I liked from the film the clip that said the gentleman was talking to the lady and he's like, I can't save him. What is it? I can't save him. I can't keep him alive, but I can't kill him either or something.
Right. Yeah. No,
I know I'm saying it wrong, but.
Right. But no, that's
from the movie.
The point is, it's very inclusive, without it being like a white and a black person or, or a gay couple. It's that same,
I like my
message of
the way it is.
Yeah, I mean it's that, but there's also in this film there's a lot of religious undertones.
Yeah,
where the man, like to Michael Shannon, the fish man represents this god,
Zod.
So,
the General Zod.
Yeah, so but there's a lot of cool stuff like that going on in the script that it's underneath. It's like an onion. You peel it back and you see more and more
layers of it. Yeah.
So, and I think in that regard, it's a lot more complex than a lot of these others, and it's a main reason why it deserved Best Picture.
Yep, and I'm not mad that it made it. So, any final thoughts for anything about the Oscars and our recovery here?
I'm glad that people are celebrating film. I think that overall it was a dry, boring kind of night, and maybe they can have Justin Timberlake back to spice it up. Maybe
because last year was even with who won Best Picture, and who didn't. That yes, of course, that made it exciting. It was terrible for everybody involved.
Which I thought that was a cool moment where they let Faye Dunaway and Warren Beatty redo it.
Thank you. If Mariah Carey gets a do-over,
right?
In New Year's, then they certainly deserved it. And the way Warren Beatty was kind of fumbling with it, I was like, oh no, not again.
Yeah. So some cool little moments.
Yeah.
But overall, just kind of lackluster, and maybe they'll figure it out. I think there's going to be a lot of people complaining about the 45 minutes running over, and just so a lot. I think there'll maybe some tweaks next year.
When it was Jimmy Kimmel, that made me think of when he mentioned Chadwick Boseman and said Black Panther, which is now at this point over 500 million. It's closing in on possibly beating the original Avengers to be the number one movie domestic box office wise. It's number 2 now for all the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So he says, and he's from a movie called Black Panther that won't get nominated for Best Picture next year. And I'm like, wow.
Well, it won't.
It won't. Even though everybody loves that movie. I think that movie is a movement, and I hope in a way I'm proven wrong. But
there's a difference between an important social movie,
Right.
and, just quality film. Like, I'm not going to, like Oscar caliber, because this is I think that what people aren't seeing here yet is that, this is just a very good Marvel movie. So it's not an Oscar movie, but it's a
Logan was
good,
an Oscar movie.
Right. That and
it transcended.
And so
Dark Knight was an Oscar movie. It transcended.
Right. And I just don't see Black
Logan
Panther as an Oscar movie. Maybe for, who knows? Maybe for cinematography, maybe for visual effects, maybe for stuff like that.
Yeah.
But as far as best picture, best screenplay, like Logan
Maybe
got,
costume.
Yeah,
hair, makeup.
You're right. Costume. I guarantee you, it's up for costume.
Yeah,
it has to be. Like I will agree with that one.
And it's a beautiful film.
But we're getting on the topic for next year. But
I know. Yeah, we're previewing next year, and we don't even know. But yeah, it's not. It is a transformative movie. It's more of a movement, but it's a great, solid movie. But I don't think it's almost there, but it's not quite there to cross that line to be Oscar worthy, for Best Picture or something like that. Maybe for some of the other awards.
Yeah, for the technical awards, sure, absolutely. But
did I love Black Panther? Yes, I did. I enjoyed it far better than you did.
Well, no,
we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not.
You weren't hating on it.
Don't get me wrong. Like as I said earlier, it's a great Marvel movie.
Right. I think that's the distinction.
Yeah.
And but yeah, just to bring it all to a close here, I want to thank everybody for listening, following the blogs. We had a great response to the 5 blog posts that we have. You can still check them out on geekhomeworld.blogspot.com, where you can also actually find all 5 of the Oscar episodes, including this one and the other ones too. Our main site's geekhomeworld.libsyn.com, where you can always find the podcast episodes. And I want to thank Scott for joining me after a long day at work and coming over and us recording this, because we wanted to get this out there. And
absolutely, man.
And our review of the Oscars, our recovery. I think I'm really gonna call it Oscar recovery.
Call it recovery, yeah.
Because I feel like I'm still waiting for the big show. It didn't happen. I was like,
agreed.
Yawn. And speaking of, we gotta go. So thank y'all for listening, and goodbye. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Geek Homeworld with your host, SavageTechman. You can find us on Libsyn, Google+. Follow and interact with us on Twitter. Like us on Facebook. Listen to us on iTunes and leave a review. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Read our thoughts on Blogger. See you again on the Geek Homeworld.